President, like every American, over the past few weeks, I've watched the videos of Americans being shoved and beaten and pepper sprayed and shot and killed by federal immigration agents. Over the weekend, Americans watched what happened to Alex Preddy in Minneapolis, a U.S. citizen, an ICU nurse at the VA who took care of veterans. He was shot and killed by federal agents for no good reason. His family lost someone they loved, and it all happened in the blink of an eye. Before that, it was Renee Good. Renee was a mother and a wife. She was shot and killed in her car, and her family will never see her again. 2 Americans are dead at the hands of their government. That should demand the highest levels of accountability. It is that simple. Instead, this administration has lied to the American people. They have slandered these Americans as terrorists. They have told us not to believe what we see with our own eyes. They blamed Alex Preddy because he was in lawful possession of a firearm. They have tried to block the investigations into what happened. We also know that these are not isolated incidents. Just the other day, ICE conducted a series of workplace raids at a sports bar in Phoenix. Places where families go to just have some wings and watch a game. The agents wore masks and tactical gear. And I watched a video of ICE officers doing a drive-by, spraying a woman in the face who was just standing on the sidewalk. They sprayed her with mace. She was not doing anything wrong. They violated her constitutional rights. These are the actions of a rogue agency that is storming cities, violating the constitutional rights of Americans, and creating volatile situations where tragedies happen. This is not making Americans safer. It is clearly doing the opposite thing. And it has to stop. I am the son of 2 police officers. From a very young age, I learned that law enforcement should exist to serve and protect people. We can enforce our laws without this chaos. We can enforce our laws without federal agents killing people in the streets of American cities. We should demand that as senators, as Republicans and Democrats, as Americans. We should all demand better. And we should use our power to make that happen. That's why I will not vote for the Department of Homeland Security budget this week, because that agency needs an overhaul from the top down and the bottom up. That's why the head of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, and the guy who everybody knows is actually making the decisions and calling the shots and running the show, Stephen Miller, both of them should be out of jobs because they have lost the trust of the American people. And that's why I introduced the Stop Excessive Force in Immigration Act to rein in and stop this abuse of power. This bill sets limits on the use of force and the use of firearms by immigration agents. It restricts the use of tear gas, flashbang grenades, and pepper balls. It requires body cameras to be used. And it restricts the use of face masks. It requires accountability and transparency so that when somebody is hurt or killed, the American people will get some answers. This is pretty basic stuff. It should be what all Americans expect from law enforcement, and it should be something that both Republicans and Democrats alike can support. Because I believe that we are better than this. I believe we can keep communities safe without this chaos. But that depends on all of us stepping up right now at this moment before another American ends up dead in the streets. Thank you, and I yield the floor.
You know, when we talk about what happens on the floor of the U.S. Senate, we're usually getting ready for some pretty dense procedural talk.
Oh, yeah. Filibusters, cloture votes. It can get dry. Dry is putting it mildly, actually.
Right. You need a law degree just to follow along sometimes. But today is, well, it's very different.
They're very different.
We have a transcript here from Senator Mark Kelly of Arizona, and it reads less like a C-SPAN broadcast and more like the script from a political thriller. He is angry.
It's visceral. I mean, we are looking at a sitting senator accusing federal agents, specifically from Homeland Security and ICE, of killing American citizens.
And he uses the word rogue.
Yeah.
He calls the agency rogue.
That word rogue does so much work, it suggests an agency that's just off the leash, not answering to anyone.
And he's not just yelling into the void. He's attaching it to an ultimatum about the budget. He's basically saying, I'm turning off the money tap until this stops.
Which is the nuclear option, really. So let's set the scene for you. The source is the transcript from a video of this speech. It's somber, but incredibly forceful. Our mission today is to unpack what he's claiming. The specific incidents, the accusations of a cover-up, and this legislative weapon he's pointing at the administration.
And just a quick tone check before we dive in, because some of these details are pretty tough. We're analyzing Senator Kelly's arguments. We're looking at the allegations he's making. We're here as impartial observers to help you understand just how serious this is.
Exactly. We're not here to hold a trial. We're here to understand why a U.S. senator would feel he had to do this. What did he see that made him say, enough?
So let's start where he starts. He doesn't open with policy numbers. He opens with the human cost.
It's a very deliberate choice. He wants to ground this whole thing in tragedy, not abstract debate. He starts with a man named Alex Prey.
And the way he introduces him is, it's really telling. He doesn't just give a name. He builds a character for us.
He does. First, a U.S. citizen. Crucial point. But then he adds that Alex was an ICU nurse at the VA.
At the Veterans Affairs Hospital. That detail just jumped out at me.
Of course.
A nurse who cares for veterans. It immediately paints this picture of service, of someone who helps people. It makes it really hard to see him as a threat.
It creates that cognitive dissonance, right? Kelly says he was shot and killed by federal agents for no good reason. His exact words. Then it gets even more complicated when you get to the aftermath.
This is where the cover-up claim starts. Kelly says the administration tried to spin it by blaming Alex Prey for having a gun.
Right. And Kelly is so careful to say Prey was in lawful possession of that firearm.
Which is a huge detail. I mean, you have a U.S. senator on the Senate floor arguing that a citizen's Second Amendment rights were basically used as a retroactive excuse to kill him.
It completely cuts off the standard officer safety defense at the knees. He's saying that owning a gun legally shouldn't be a death sentence when federal agents show up. That's an appeal to a very, very broad audience.
And then, as if that wasn't enough, he moves straight to the second case. Renee Good.
Renee Good. Introduced as a mother and a wife. Again, see the pattern. Defining the victims by their families, by their roles in the community.
And the description of her death is just, it's chillingly brief.
It is. Shot and killed in her car, just like that. He just says her family will never see her again. It's a punch to the gut.
But this is where the argument pivots from just tragedy to malice. He accuses the administration of slandering these Americans as terrorists.
Yeah, word, terrorist, that's such a loaded term.
It changes everything.
It does. When the government calls you a terrorist, due process can just go out the window, or the rules of engagement completely shift.
It dehumanizes them.
Completely. It makes them enemy combatants. And Kelly is furious. You can feel it in the transcript. He's screaming, "This was a nurse, this was a mother, and the government is lying to you to cover up a bad shoot."
He even says, "Don't believe your own eyes."
The gaslighting accusation, yeah. He's saying there is video that contradicts the official story, and the government is telling you the video is wrong.
It's a fundamental breach of trust. He's basically accusing a federal department of running a disinformation campaign against its own citizens.
Which is the perfect transition to his wider argument.
Yeah.
If they'll lie about this, what else are they doing? This is where he moves from individual deaths to systemic tactics.
And this next section, I mean, you really have to picture this. He describes a raid at a sports bar in Phoenix.
A sports bar.
Yeah, families are there. People are watching a game. It's the most normal American scene you can think of. And then he says, federal agents storm in, not just with badges, in full tactical gear,
Yeah.
wearing masks.
The masks. He really focuses on the masks. Why?
Exactly. Why the masks?
About psychology, right? It's about anonymity. It's about unaccountability. A mask means you can't be identified. You can't be reported. It creates fear.
It turns it from law enforcement into, I don't know, a paramilitary raid.
An occupation. That's what it sounds like. He's showing how out of proportion their response is. You don't need a tactical team to check IDs at a family restaurant.
And if that wasn't jarring enough, we get to the drive-by incident.
This was the part that just shocked me. The language.
I had to read it twice. A drive-by, that's a term for gang violence.
And he uses it deliberately. He says he watched a video. ICE officers in a vehicle drive past a woman on a sidewalk. He makes a point of saying she's doing nothing wrong, just standing there. And as they drive by, they spray her in the face with mace.
Just for no reason.
According to his account of the video, yes, for no reason at all. It's not an arrest. It's not crowd control. It's just cruelty.
It sounds like they were doing it for sport.
That's the implication, isn't it? And that's what leads him to his core thesis. The agency has gone rogue. They are storming cities, creating chaos where there was none.
It completely flips the usual safety argument on its head. The whole point of DHS and ICE is supposed to be, we're keeping you safe.
Right. We have to be tough to protect you. And Kelly's response is, no, you are the danger. You're killing nurses and macing women on the sidewalk. You're making us less safe.
It's an incredibly powerful reframing. And it's what he uses to justify the extreme political step he takes next.
This is where it gets real. Because he isn't just an observer, he's a senator. He has power. And he's grabbing the biggest lever he's got.
The power of the purse. He says it flat out. I will not vote for the Department of Homeland Security budget this week.
That is a massive deal. The government doesn't run without money. By threatening his vote, he's threatening to shut down the agency.
It's basically a hostage situation. Stop the killing, or I stop the money.
It shows a complete breakdown of trust between the legislative branch, who holds the checkbook, and the executive branch, who spends the money. This isn't about numbers. This is about morality.
And he doesn't just want to stop the money. He wants people fired.
He calls for an overhaul from the top down and the bottom up. And he names names. He mentions Kristi Noem, the Secretary of Homeland Security, but he saves his most direct attack for Stephen Miller.
That part was fascinating. Miller's an advisor, not the secretary. But Kelly calls him the guy calling the shots.
It's an accusation of shadow governance, right? He's claiming that the official chain of command is a facade, and Stephen Miller is the one actually running the show behind the curtain.
So Kelly is drawing a direct line from Miller's ideology to the deaths of Alex Prey and Renee Good.
Yes, that's exactly what he's doing. He's saying their leadership, their philosophy has resulted in this, that they have lost the trust of the American people, and without that trust, you can't have law enforcement.
So he wants them gone. He wants the funding paused, but he also brought his own solution to the table, a bill, the Stop Excessive Force in Immigration Act.
And let's be honest, that's a tough title to vote against, isn't it? Who wants to be pro-excessive force?
Right, but when you look at the details, it's like a point-by-point response to every story he just told.
It's a direct legislative rebuttal. First, limits on force and firearms. That's for Alex Prey and Renee Good. He wants to tighten the rules of engagement.
And he lists weapons restrictions, tear gas, flashbangs, pepper balls.
all crowd control weapons. He's trying to demilitarize the agency. He's saying, you're immigration officers, not riot police.
And the masks. He goes right back to the sports bar raid.
Yep. The bill restricts face masks by agents, and this is key. It mandates body cameras.
Which is interesting because he kept talking about video evidence, so he wants to make sure every encounter is on the record.
Exactly. Transparency is the antidote to a rogue agency. If you know you're being recorded and your face is visible, the theory is you'll behave better. The public gets answers.
Which implies that right now they aren't getting answers, just spin.
That's his whole point.
You know, in the middle of all this policy and anger, there was this very personal moment when he talks about his own background.
The son of 2 police officers moment.
Yeah. Why do you think you brought that up?
It's a brilliant tactical move. It's a shield. He knows his critics will immediately label him anti-police. By saying that, he's preempting the attack.
He's saying, I come from a law enforcement family. I know what good policing is supposed to look like.
Precisely. He's taking the moral high ground. He talks about serve and protect, and basically argues that what these agents are doing is an insult to that tradition, an insult to the badge his parents wore.
So he's framing it not as left versus right, but as order versus chaos.
That's the key. He says you can enforce the law without chaos. He argues that what they're doing, the random macing, the shootings, that isn't order. That is chaos.
And he calls it basic stuff.
It's a plea for bipartisanship. He's looking at his colleagues and saying, come on, surely we can all agree that this is wrong. He's trying to isolate the administration by appealing to just basic decency.
But he ends on a warning. A deadline, really.
Step up right now. He's saying act now before someone else dies.
That puts an immense amount of pressure on that budget vote.
It does. He's telling every other senator that if they vote to fund this agency without these changes, they are complicit in whatever happens next. That's a heavy, heavy charge.
So when you step back, the whole picture is just, it's stunning. The tragic deaths, these scenes of tactical teams in sports bars, the drive-by macing, and a senator threatening to cut off all the money.
And pointing the finger directly at a White House advisor as the one pulling the strings.
It really makes you wonder, if a U.S. senator is this shaken by the footage he's seen, what exactly is on those tapes?
That is the question, isn't it? He's asking the public and his colleagues to trust his interpretation over the official story, and he's betting his political capital on it.
It also just brings up this really basic question about our government. We all learned about checks and balances in school. This is what it looks like in practice, right? The gears grinding against each other under extreme pressure.
This is the system under stress. The executive branch has the agents and the weapons. The legislative branch has the checkbook. Senator Kelly is testing whether the checkbook is still powerful enough to rein in the weapons.
And I think that's a thought I want to leave everyone with today. Kelly believes you can fix a rogue agency with laws and budgets. But if an agency is truly rogue, if it's ignoring the rules and storming cities, will cutting its funding actually stop it? Or has the problem grown beyond what a Senate vote can fix?
When trust collapses completely, does the power of the purse even matter anymore? I guess we're about to find out.
We'll be watching that vote. Thanks for diving deep with us today.
Always a pleasure.
We'll see you on the next deep dive. Stay curious.